Good, happy Monday evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this special report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's get started. Irma leaves 9 dead in U.S. Devastation in Florida Keys. Hurricane Irma is now wreaking havoc in South Carolina after causing at least 9 deaths in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. A flash flood emergency was issued for Charleston this afternoon as Irma, which was downgraded to a tropical storm this morning, batters the southeast with torrential rain and dangerous storm surge. The latest, as of 5 p.m., Irma was about 150 miles south of Atlanta, moving north-northwest at 17 miles per hour with sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. A tornado watch across parts of Georgia and South Carolina coast, include Savannah and Charleston, has been extended into this evening. Irma could also bring flooding to Atlanta tonight. A wind gust of 64 miles per hour have been recorded in Atlanta by Monday afternoon. Tropical storm warnings remain in effect for parts of northern Florida, eastern Alabama, Georgia, and Southern Carolina. On Monday, President Donald Trump has approved a state of an emergency declaration in Alabama after speaking to Governor Kay Ivey on the phone the day before the White House announced. This morning, water raced through the streets of Jacksonville, Florida, bringing record levels of storm surge along the coast and inland rivers. Tallahassee appears to have been spared from injuries, major damage, or flooding, the emergency management director told ABC News this morning. Major issue there are power outages from trees that fallen over power lines. Florida Keys, anxiety is running high. In the Florida Keys, which remain cut off from the mainland, there's high anxiety and little fuel, electrical, or running water, officials said. Irma first made landfall in the Florida Keys Sunday morning as a Category 4 hurricane, bringing 130 miles per hour winds and storm surge of 10 feet. It was the first Category 4 landfall in Florida since 2004. Florida Governor Rick Scott said the storm left devastation in the Keys. Monroe County continues to be closed for residents and visitors due to unsafe road conditions caused by the hurricane. But Florida Department of Transportation has reported that all bridges on US 1 from the 18-mile stretch entering the Keys to mile marker 16 have been inspected and are safe for travel. Much of the Keys is without power and water, and all 3 of the hospitals, including their emergency rooms, are closed. County officials said a dawn to dusk curfew is still in place. Keys were under mandatory evacuation order as Irma neared, but not everyone left. According to the Miami Herald, Florida Director of Emergency Management estimates that about 10,000 people remain in the Keys during the storm, adding it is hard to communicate with those left there. In an interview with ABC News, the administrator of Monroe County, which includes the Keys, says it's unfortunate you start to hear stories of folks that stayed in the house that shouldn't. We're hearing folks that stayed in boats. Monroe County officials said in a statement this morning that is not yet safe to return to the Keys. Officials said this afternoon that while they understand residents' frustration, they don't anticipate a time frame when residents will be allowed in. Storm plummets Naples and Miami. After Irma left the Keys Sunday morning, it moved north, passing over Naples, which recorded a 142-mile-per-hour wind gust. The city also saw nearly 12 inches of rain and a 7-foot storm surge. Farther north, wind gusts reached 94 miles per hour in Lakeland and up to 90 miles per hour in the Tampa Bay area. In Miami, which saw wind gusts up to 99 miles per hour, resident Joe told ABC News he endured multiple hurricanes in the Caribbean, but said he had never experienced a storm as brutal as Irma. Joe boarded up his house and is staying at a high-rise hotel in Miami. He said he had to move down to the lobby after his hotel room window took a beating from the strong winds. Fatalities in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. At least 6 people, including a sheriff's deputy, died of storm-related injuries in Florida as the massive hurricane barreled across the Sunshine State. 1 person was killed in Monroe County, which includes the Florida Keys. The man was killed after he lost control of a truck that carried a generator as winds whipped at tropical storm strength, officials said. 2 others, a sheriff's deputy and corrections officer, died from a 2-car crash in Lorain in Hardee County, which is about 60 miles inland from Sarasota, officials said. In Winter Park near Orlando, a man was electrocuted by a downed power line Monday morning, according to Winter Park Police Department. He was pronounced dead at the scene after investigators found him lying in the street, police said. Another person died from carbon monoxide poisoning from improper use of a generator in Miami-Dade County, the mayor said. Another fatality was from a crash in Orange County in central Florida. At least 2 people have died in Georgia as a result of the storm in Sandy Springs in northern Fulton County. A man died while laying in bed after a large tree and broke and fell on his home, Sandy Springs mayor announced on Facebook. In Abbeville County, South Carolina, a 57-year-old man was killed after a tree limb fell on him. He died at the scene. At least 37 people died in the Caribbean, including at least 10 in Cuba. millions without power, and widespread evacuations. At least 7.7 million customers are without power in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, including more than 6.7 million accounts in Florida alone. About 64% of Florida's customers. In Miami-Dade, over 80% of the customers lost power, the mayor said today, and a curfew is in effect until further notice. Eric, president and CEO of Florida Power and Light, warned that people need to be prepared for some prolonged and extended outages. In Georgia, 80,000 customers are without power, while South Carolina, more than 238,519 customers are without power. About 6.5 million Floridians were ordered to evacuate as Irma neared, and some residents of Georgia and South Carolina were under evacuation orders as well. Some coasts to go to shelters, others decided to hunker down at home and ride out the storm. Trump approved a major disaster declaration in Florida on Sunday, authorizing federal funding to flow directly to Floridians impacted by Hurricane Irma and reimburse local communities and state government to aid in response of recovery from Hurricane Irma, state officials said. Scott said nearly 30 states had deployed personnel and rescue to help with response of Irma. And that does it for my special report of Irma leaves 8 dead in U.S. devastates Florida Keys. I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday night. Good night, everyone. Bye.